What's going on, everybody? Week number 2 for the brother Karmelo Anthony's case. Not your big brother's on the screen. He looks like he's energized. How you feeling today?
Oh yeah, I'm doing well, man. But I'm just really I have some things personally that's going on when it comes to the Juneteenth weekend. I
Okay.
mean, we're going to talk about the Karmelo Anthony case, but we
Okay.
also got to look at maybe doing a broadcast about black on black violence because it was terrible this weekend in Chicago and Baltimore, in San Diego, just people, getting killed. And this is us doing this
Mm.
to ourselves. So, I mean, we don't want to be too hypocritical because we're going to talk about this case, but we have to have that same energy when it comes to us killing each other. So
Yeah.
lest we seem to be hypocrites. But I
So
think
what?
it's important that we talk about that.
So did you see some videos about like some stuff in Baltimore and stuff? Because that's terrible. If you saw some terrible videos.
Well, I was just researching and it was just kind of coming up showing all these killings that's all over, man. It was 8 of them, 8 or 7 people that were killed in Chicago, black on black. It's a lot going on today. But I also understand that you got some decent news coming up about you getting ready to leave the broadcast, adults only real conversations or what?
No. So basically, I'm going to still be on. I love doing the show with you. Basically, I'm going to be doing my own little podcast, which is a sport one. It's going to be a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I haven't came up with any channel for sure yet, but I'm going to eventually do my own thing. And of course, I'm going to have callers, comments, stuff like that. But this one is my pride. And I'll be just doing that one as like a little side gig, basically. A
Oh, I was
side.
gonna say I heard it through the grapevine that you getting a new show and you finna do your thing and fly off. And I was saying on Wednesdays, I don't know how you're gonna be able to do that if we got our Wednesday show. So you might, I don't know, Monday and Friday, but it's gonna be difficult to do all 3 of them.
I had to take a page out of your book like you do with Kevin. Now I know you and Kevin, yours is the same day, but you and Kevin, you do 1, 2 out of the week. So I'll probably have to do one in the morning and then one with you, of course, like around 6 or 7 on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So, but I appreciate it. Like I said, last week was a hard-hitting topic. We're coming back for week 2 of this Karmelo Anthony case. What's your opinion about why we need to keep harping and discussing this?
Well, because we are so polarized, meaning that people that don't look like us, they really are so bigoted. Many of them, they don't care about the facts. All they care about is they want to see a young African American male go up the river. But yet when it happens on their watch, when there's another European who does it, they don't have the same energy, you see. And I think that we have to be fair and we have to be honest about these different cases that we're talking about, because a lot of us, we try our best to try to help out because we're being oppressed, but at the same time, we have to fight tooth and nail everywhere we turn because everybody is out to seem like they're not seeming, they're trying to get us, and we have to stand up for ourselves. We really do.
Exactly. And I'll give my input on it as we go ahead and dive into today's topic. We got some comments coming in already. We appreciate that. I'll get to them in a second. But as you can see, the video has been released. It's been all over the news. It's been everywhere. A lot of people have saw it. Now, the people that I have on my phone, which we're going to play later on, they're still saying that Karmelo murdered him. They're still saying that he's a thug. There's still all the people. And once again, it has nothing to do with race because fair is fair. If it was a Jap or Asian, I would call it even because I know some will say, well, they only care because he's black. No, it's because that people aren't being fair. And the footage is out. It shows that Metcalf and his brother or his homeboys or whoever came and jumped this brother. And the people on the news are still saying that it was a murder.
Wow. And I think it does, though, Chaz. You said it didn't have anything to do with race. But I think it does have to do with race from certain people's perspective, especially some of the Europeans that you're going to let us hear, because they're race baiters, man. And you could just listen to them in the way they explain what they see and how they assess it. That they're not fair, man. And it has to do with race. So we got to be careful with this stuff, man.
Well, I was trying. Let me clarify. When I said race, I was saying from my perspective. If you black, white, Jap, I was just saying from my perspective. I'm gonna call it even, but it's just frustrating, like you mentioned, when other races put this Karmelo Anthony like he's his thug, and they're not giving him a fair shot. And once again, like you mentioned last week, there were he's going to appeal this thing. No news yet. I'm still getting an update. I hope this brother can win, but go ahead and take it real quick as I get one of my videos dialed up.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Karmelo Anthony case. This is our second week, and it's important that we keep shedding light on this because this young man is really having it tough right now. I understand that he has new lawyers now, which they're working pro bono, which basically means they're just doing this for free. Now, I don't know whether the financial situation is an issue or not, but I just believe that he needs all the support that he can get, because if we don't stand by him in this stand your ground case, then no one else will. And we know what's going to happen if they repeat the same process of getting these jurors that we talked about last week, who just don't care about us and who want to see us, go and spend a lot of time in the penitentiary based upon a self-defense case. We have to really be honest and be fair about this situation.
I appreciate that. And before I go ahead and get on a couple of videos, we got Sister Barbara. She fires in here. She says, Hotel brothers, we appreciate her. Sister Marie's behind her. She says, Hotel family, we appreciate you guys that have logged in. And with further ado, I got one video. It's about 12, 15 seconds. And then I'll go ahead and give my input on it.
Okay. Moment. Karmelo shoved a knife into Austin's heart. He wanted to be tough. It wasn't out of fear. It was out of a small, tiny ego and a need to prove that he mattered, that he was a badass, that he was some sort of a tough guy. It's a failure by the parents.
Now, I'm going to stop it right here, because here's the thing, and I want to line all this stuff up. This is after they got the video on the news of what really transpired, and we're not going to play the video here. You guys can check it out because it is graphic, I would say, and it's just people have saw it, I believe. But for her to still, after the news have came out, and she still has this image of him trying to be a tough guy or a thug and talking about it's a minor inconvenience. No, Megan, the man was jumped. The man was basically, and it was a big weight advantage. The guy is way bigger than Karmelo, and he defended himself. And this woman still is sitting here after the evidence is proven, still saying that this man is guilty.
And the way she's talking, you can care she doesn't care. You can tell that she really has no interest in fairness. She's just trying to race bait to make it seem like Kamrmelo was like you said, a thug or this bad guy. And secondly, we must admit, she wasn't there, okay? And I wasn't there. So I'm not going to talk like I was there, but I do know what the law says about stand your ground, and I know how the law works, and I know how it worked for other people. So this, you can just tell the way in her voice, she's not even trying to be what we call equitable when she's talking. She's got it in for this boy Kamrmelo, and it's like she should shut her mouth. She should be quiet and just go away, because she's one of the ones that's fanning the flame, trying to make it seem like this young man, well, like she said, he shoved the knife. You weren't even there, so why don't you just be quiet? And like you do in other cases, they always say, let's let the evidence find its way. Well, why don't she be quiet and let it find its way? Because you can tell this woman has some problems.
Yeah, and once again, if you go to our comment section on YouTube, all the people in there are saying the same thing, that Karmelo is wrong, that I can't show every little thing, but you can kind of get a gist of it. If she's saying that 9 times out of 10, her supporters are saying that as well, and it's just sad. And like I said, this is after the evidence. Now, let me ask you this. You said the money may be low as far as, and I'm pretty sure it probably is, because I understand times are hard. You think that the people, the lawyers or attorneys that he hired, do you think they're going to really give it their all at this, brother? Or do you think they're just going to be doing it ham-handedly?
I think they're going to give it their all, because there's something like us and other people who see that this boy is in a desperate situation. And so I believe that with the ones that I've read, they seem like they're going to really give it their all, because they realize that he was railroaded. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't have taken the case. So I don't think they took the case just to try to, do something to him improper. I think they just want to show a fair case. That's what they want. They want to find jurors that's going to say, okay, let's look at the evidence. Once we lay everything out, let's decide, as opposed to just picking people who don't like him because of the way he looks, or because of what they heard, or because he's an African American. And so I really take my hat off to them, because they're doing this basically, according to what I read, it's called pro bono, which means they're doing this for free. So, I think that this is a good thing for people to rally around and help him as much as we can, because this doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah, excuse me. It really doesn't. Now, my question is, like I said, the reason why I asked that, because I know a lot of people say, well, can you really trust the people to be, giving it his all? Because, like I said, it seems like the system is against him. It seems like the world is against him. We have the video footage that he's been innocent. And it's like people are still, like I said, going against this brother and just saying a whole bunch of terrible stuff. Now, I got another one, a quick video of another brother, and he basically is accurate with his assessment.
Austin confronting Karmelo. Austin pushing Karmelo. Austin then getting stuck by Karmelo. It also showed Austin's brother, Hunter, being at the center of the fight. He also put hands on Karmelo, and so did some of their other friends. Witnesses said that at least 5, in fact, not just witnesses, but it's also on video, at least 5 of them jumped Karmelo. It's never mentioned jumping Karmelo. Other witnesses for Austin never mentioned jumping Karmelo.
Now, I'm going to stop it there, and I have to reiterate that because, once again, all these people that I've played, for the most part, they're not adding that part that he was jumped. They keep harping on him, looking for murder, looking for trouble, looking for chaos, and he just did that. And I'm glad that the news is starting to leak, and it's starting to come out where a few people are actually level-headed, and we're saying, hey, this brother's jumped. Y'all won't talk about that, and this brother is level-headed as well.
I hope that the jury that they select, that's my concern, because even though we hear the evidence, we may look at footage and it can show them jumping Karmelo, like the brother said. It can show all of that. But I go back to the jury. If the jury that's selected already have a bias against him, he's not going to stand a chance. And that's my concern. So these lawyers that are helping him, they have to make sure that they get people that are fair-minded and not people that are Eurocentric who already has it out for him, or those people who think that just because of the way he looks that he's this criminal. So I think that's going to be crucial. It's all about picking the right people that's going to look at this case and say, according to the law, that stand your ground. You can do that if you feel that your life is in if you feel that your life is in jeopardy. And that's what a lot of these police officers do when they kill us, and we look at them and we see that their life wasn't even in danger. But that's the first thing they say. I feared for my life. Well, here's a situation where you just said, the brother said that people were jumping him. And I mean, come on, y'all. We have to be honest when it comes to self-defense. And I'm not here to say whether he should have stabbed him, or whether he should have shot him, or whether he should have fist fought him, because you never can tell when you're in that situation. So we got to stop being quick to judge on the other side to say, well, what he should have done or how it should have gone off, because you just don't know when you're in that situation. So once again, I hope that they are fair.
I hope they are too. And once again, now we've seen videos of people after the verdict was reached, that a lot of people in all over states, Minnesota, all these places, to where they have videos outside of them hollering, protesting. Now, some are going to say protesting doesn't do anything. I agree to some extent, but when us, the people, don't have any power, we're trying to show you this is not going to be tolerated. We are not going to keep going year after year, hearing Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, now this brother. And pretty soon, I hate to say it, it'll be someone else's African-American descent. And then we're having this conversation all over again. So I salute the people who've been protesting and standing up for this brother. But like you said, you got to give this brother a fair shot. And if you don't, I'm talking about the judges, then it's just, this country is going to be terrible, because I can see it happening all over in most states where a lot of people they're not going for this, man. They're not.
Yeah, and they kill me with that. I'm gonna take a page out of Steve Harvey's book, because he always start off before he rails on someone. He says, y'all kill me with that. But they kill me with that, this protesting thing, from the standpoint of they don't want people to protest, but yet the country that we live in, it was founded upon bloodshed, protestation. So don't tell us about how we're going to react. We have to, if we don't protest, if we don't say anything, they're going to send this young man up the river, and we're going to be sitting like little quiet church mice rather, not saying anything. And then we're going to look around and say, well, at least we should say something about it. So miss me with that protesting stuff from the standpoint of that we shouldn't do it. This whole country was founded on protest. Look at the Boston Massacre. Look at all these things that happened. It was all about protesting. They didn't want Europe to have a king over them. They didn't want taxation without representation. The Boston Tea Party. We can go on and on and on. So don't tell me about what we should not do when this whole country was founded upon protesting.
Exactly. And like you said, and I stand with the people who, like I said, they have a small voice. They're trying to fight back as much as they can because they don't have the power as some of these elite people do. And this is their way of fighting back. Now, I got another one loaded up. This was by a brother, guy by the name of Glenn Beck. Check this out in his bias take as well.
Because he was claiming self-defense. They were like, yeah, you know, if anybody pushed anybody, you don't stab the guy in the heart. Jury saw through the narratives, focused on the truth because it was all right there in his face. And in a world drowning in spin, this is a powerful reminder that facts still matter when good people are willing to weigh them honestly.
Now, I got a problem with this brother, Glenn. Now, Glenn isn't being fair. He's talking about facts and integrity and the truth is coming out. Well, Glenn, how about the video that's came up that this brother was jumped? How about the facts that you and Megan and all, because there's a couple others that I got, y'all all seem like y'all in cahoots to punish this brother. And I, like we said last week, they feel like because that was their brother, Austin Metcalf, lost his life, now they want to take it back. But this guy is clearly biased, clearly unfair. And I'm starting to wonder, brother, are they watching the same case as us? Because it's like they keep forgetting to leave that part out that this man was jumped.
He doesn't care what he sees. He doesn't care what people tell him. He could look at a video and see that this boy was being jumped, but he still doesn't care. He's a liar. He's a cheat because he's saying things that's not true. And this is the problem that I'm saying that I have with people like that. You know, we always want to jump to someone's defense when they look like us. And in many instances, we have to check our own selves because sometimes we're in the wrong for that. But I just don't understand how hypocritical these people are when you can tell the way they talk. They have no type of compassion. And whenever someone, and I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again tonight, whenever someone loses their life, that's a tragedy. You know, so we're not sitting here saying that this was a good thing that Karmelo did. We're not saying that we're patting him on the back for what he did. So people have to look at this broadcast and say, at least we're being honest and fair. We're saying something happened where apparently this boy, Karmelo Anthony, felt that his life was in danger and he did what he did to protect himself and ended up killing someone in the process. So don't look at this broadcast or us who talk like this as if we're like the opposite of them, because I know somebody might say, well, y'all just like Glenn Beck. Y'all just like them other people. No, we're not like them. We're just saying that look at the facts, look at the evidence, and then you make your decision. Don't just start running off at the mouth and saying things that you really don't know, because he started off by lying, talking about that what it takes. When you're in that situation, you don't know what you're going to do. So it's easy for us to sit back and play this armchair, reporter after the fact. So we got to stop this nonsense. We really do. And I'm talking about all people, especially those who are racist to the bottom of their hearts. And people can say all they want to about how does race get into this. It gets into this because if you look at the divide right now, I bet you the majority of the white people are saying that Karmelo is wrong, or I'll say many of them. And many of the African Americans are saying that Karmelo was right. But the law, when you go back to the law, he stood his ground because he feared for his life. And it just so happened that he took somebody's life. And we're not gloating over that. We're not boasting over that. But a lot of people can't see that, man, because they don't want to look at the facts and say, wait a minute. It's unfortunate that it happened, but this is what it came down to. And this boy should be at home. And that's the bottom line.
And you mentioned a good point. You hit it on the head. And I hate that it's like this. But like you mentioned, when you really think about it, the people that I'm playing and plenty of others that I can't play, because if I were to play to you, all these people I found on YouTube will be here for 4 or 5 years. There's so many content creators. But the point that I'm getting at is most of the European analysts, white men and white European women, they're all on for the most part, they're on Metcalf side. And like you mentioned, the African Americans, most of them are on Karmelo's side, but it has to do with the evidence. But once again, the whites are mostly on Metcalf's, the blacks are normally on Karmelo's, and we're on Karmelo's not only because they're black, but because we see the evidence and we see what this man's family is going through, and we're being honest here. But it's sad that some people can't see it this way. Now, I mentioned this last week. I got to show this again. Now, this is from Matt Walsh, and I want to show you guys, because I read this last week, the first one from 2 weeks ago. Verdict, guilty. Justice was done. The only shame is that his crappy parents can't be jailed along with him. But at least this murderous thug will be off the streets. Now, I want to get his next one, too. He says, if you followed this trial and came away convinced that Karmelo was not guilty, you're either so retarded that you should be institutionalized, or you're just happy that a white guy was killed and you don't care about the facts. In either case, he says you have been. And I'm going to just stop because you can see how this brother basically feels. And, you know, once again, that's the point. Another European brother or a European male saying the same thing, that his parents need to be thrown away. I mean, here's the thing. In certain cases, parents can raise the kid, right? And stuff still happens. But that's not fair for this man to even start taking shots at the parents. I mean, come on, man.
If you listen to the way you read that, the amalgamation of nonsense that he was spewing, that doesn't make any sense. You can just tell by the way we read that, the way we heard that. You can tell that he has a problem with Karmelo Anthony. And you know, he can't even be fair in his assessment as far as, okay, there was a verdict. I agree with the verdict, and let's leave it at that. No, he's attacking the boy's parents. He's attacking other people who don't think like him. And
Right.
this is what the problem is, because this is what race does. Race always wants one person or a group of people that's dominant, that has power. It always wants them to put themselves in a position where they're calling the shots, and everybody else has to sit back and take what they're saying. And we don't have to do that. But you know, these are some sick individuals, and this is why you can't have an honest discussion about what is called stand your ground. Notice none of them are, not a one of them that you played, not a one of them that you read. None of them are talking about the law. And we know the law has been twisted in many instances, but in this case, that stand your ground. None of them are talking about that law. But when a white person does it, they go to the law and say, well, according to the law, he stood his ground. And I'm waiting for one of them to say, according to the law, that Kamrmelo stood his ground, even though I don't like the decision, even though I might be a bigot, even though I might be prejudiced. I don't like what happened, but this is the law. See, you won't get that out of them. It's always taking shots at the boy, his family, or people like us because we don't agree with what they're saying. And that's the part that's disgraceful.
And I want to be fair. Now, some will say, well, he must be nitpicking on YouTube who to pick and play. No, when I go to YouTube and I just type in the brother's name, the content creators that come up, I can't help their race, but whoever I pick, it just seems like if they're white, like I said, they're all on his side. I'm talking about Metcalf and his family. And I'm getting frustrated because once again, and I got a couple, about 4 or 5 others, because you know I love listening to these content creators on YouTube just to give people a gist of what's going on in society. But it's sad that they all feel this way. Now I got another one here from Megan. Once again, this is after the fact when she knew that this brother was on film minding his business in a tent, and here she is again.
Each moron there at the View weighed in. I mean, truly, one is dumber than the next. Sunny Hostin's not dumb. This is willful misinformation on her part, meant to push a racial agenda that she has, that ABC has been allowing for far too long. This is willful misinformation. All right, here she is trying to convince the national audience at ABC that Karmelo Anthony did act in self-defense. She's not convinced that the jury was right in finding otherwise. Watch.
I also think we have to look at self-defense here, because there seems to be 2 systems of justice at play in this country. And there have been for a very long time. I was part of the system, so I understand that, and I believe that to be true. In this case, this young man, you heard him say, he put his hands on me, and I told him not to. This, the kid that died, and I have so much empathy for him and his family's loss. That kid was 200 pounds. This kid was 130 pounds. And so, and the other kid was also taller than he is. He was the only black kid under the tent. And The victim here had his twin brother with him, who was also a very large person. If you don't fear for your life, if you weigh 130 pounds, I weigh 130 pounds. Facing somebody that's 200 pounds, I would be terrified of that. So I don't understand why self-defense was rejected by this jury.
He asked him, he dared him to put his hands on him. Anthony dared Metcalf to put his hands on him. He wasn't afraid. He was provoking him. You dishonest.
Now, this is again, she just won't stop. Now, I keep going to her page because I love using her material for this show, because this shows the ideology of what these people are thinking. Now, the other lady on ABC, I forget her name, she was more fair. She's saying, why was self-defense rejected? You would feel intimidated if a guy that's way bigger than you and basically his brother or partner is getting ready to attack you. But Megan can't seem to get this through her skull that this man was jumped. But the other sister from ABC was more logical and more fair.
Megan is her assessment is so hypocritical. For her to talk about ABC or any other news outlet, Fox News is one of the most unfair, bigoted, biased. For her to see, this is what I'm trying to tell everyone. For her to even open her mouth and say that, it shows you that she's not really got it right. She's the one that has some mental issues. To talk about other news outlets when that news outlet that she works for, which I'm sure she's got to say things that because they're paying her, but everyone knows that news outlet is really is weak, it's unfair, it's biased, it's racist on many events when it comes to certain aspects of life when they report. And she had the nerve to start off by talking about ABC. She ought to be ashamed of herself, but because no one pushes back, and it's almost like you want to throw up when you hear her because you already know what she's going to say. Before you start playing it, I knew she was going to say something, ridiculous. And that's all these fatuous remarks that she's making. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's like they're never going to stop because that's how they see us as a people.
Yeah, and I'm nervous and I'm intimidated. Now I say that jokingly, but we say that I'm intimidated because when you go to the comment section, it's so many comments, you'll never be able to read them. But if you stay on there about 2 minutes, you get the gist of what her followers are saying. They all saying that justice is done. Throw it away to Keon Karmelo. He's a thug. He's a criminal. So it's like she's firing her followers up or her fans up. And they all seem like they feel the same way. And it's a shame that this is where society is going. Now, I want to touch on the parents of Karmelo. Can you imagine that they have to live with this for the rest? Now, like we said, he's fighting the case. We hope he wins. But we're just assuming that they lose. They have to live, if they live, for the next 10 or 20 years with their son being in prison because he defended himself. I know you got something to say about the parents, how that's a terrible loss on their end because they won't be able to see their son anymore.
Yeah, nobody can explain, nobody can extrapolate on the inner workings of one's heart who has a child that they birth, that they see being done unfair. I mean, I can't even think of a word that's going to do this justice about what that woman and his Karmelo's dad, what they're going through. But I know it's got to be excruciating. It has to be nerve-wracking. I mean, I bet you they can't even sleep at night because those thoughts keep coming to them about what happened to them. And I just look at us as a people, and I believe that many of us are not getting into this the way you and I and others are. It's because you mentioned it many, many shows ago where you told me gave you a scenario and you said, until it happens to us, I won't forget that. You said until it happens to us, we're not going to be at that much concern. And I think that's where we are today, many of us. As long as we have our castles, as long as we have our apartments, our houses, our cars, our trucks, as long as we have food, as long as we have a little chump change in the bank or we can, pay our bills, we don't have much to say. But if this was something gossipy, like, something on social media, or if this was a reality TV show, yeah, we would have a lot to say. And this is the part that I'm saying that it has really messed us up psychologically. We don't even know when to stand up for people, but when it happens to our family members, then we want everyone to grab a sign and come and pick it with us and all this stuff nonsense.
Yeah. And once again, now the people all across the states, I believe, once again, once the verdict comes out, I believe more people are going to be in an uproar. But like I said, how can we stop? Well, I hate to say this. We know it's going to happen again, but how can we prevent ourselves from losing our minds? Because it's only a matter of time. In fact, I believe you were telling me the other day that a young baby got murdered, an African-American baby. Now, I don't have the full details, but it's basically all over again, and people are upset about that. I'm sure they are.
Yeah, in Mississippi, I guess there was a situation where his mother had him in the car, but they went to Walmart, and it had something to do. I don't want to get my facts misconstrued, but it has something to do with, I don't know if it was Pampers or something, but when she got out, the police surrounded her car, and she begged them not to shoot in that car. And they shot in the car anyway, and they killed a 1-year-old. They killed him, and it's like, I'm just now listen.
Okay.
Even if this woman, and I don't know the facts, but even if she did, shoplift some Pampers, which I don't think that they have evidence of, but even if she did, let's just say she did shoplift Pampers,
Okay.
there's no need for you to shoot in her car. There's no need for you to shoot at her. There's no need for you to shoot. That doesn't make sense, man. It really doesn't. And it goes to say what I said last week. Until we take part in some of this, it's going to continue to be this way. And I know a lot of people don't like me talking like this because I've been really laid back today. I haven't really got into it. But I think until we get involved, it's going to continue to be this way. And it's going to continue to be Karmelo Anthony's and other people, other cases, because a lot of us don't want to get involved. We just want to take shots and say theory, what we should do, how it should be, as opposed to being honest about the system and what we're having to face.
Forgive me, the comments, I have not seen them until now, and they're loaded up. We got a couple comments, and I'm sorry, guys, since I've been getting carried away with playing these videos. We got first Sister Mashonda. She says, hello. We thank you, sister, for firing in here. She says, I will rewatch later. She's at work. You're welcome to catch it on playback. We appreciate you. Brother Ray fires in here as always. What's going on, Ray? He says, hey, everyone. What's going on, brother? He also says, I expect them to be racist against us. This is typical of them. Yeah, you expect that. And I hate to say that, but especially when they're in high power or they got a lot of money, they got a lot of wealth, and their families, they got so much money, we can't really see them on a day-to-day basis because they're protected and hidden in their rich mansions. 9 times out of 10, they are racist. So this brother is right with that comment. He also says, bull crap. He gave Metcalf a warning and wasn't egging him on. Okay, he's coming to Megan or her line tail. I mean, this is ridiculous. And then he also says, be respectful, be kind, obey the law. But if someone lays hands on you, you send them to the cemetery. Malcolm X. Brother Ray, you talking some good stuff, and that's the way you got to be. You got to fight back. They said eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And I'm with you what Malcolm X is saying here. If you mind your own business and someone puts their hands on you, you do what you got to do, because enough is enough, and we're tired of being a main example of. I'm tired of seeing the statistics. I'm tired of seeing the videos. And if they're not going to protect us, we got to take matters into our own hands. And once again, forgive me, the comment section wasn't working. That's why I'm bagged up. But you got anything to say on this brother's comment?
Yeah, I think he's spot on about this system in which we live in. It's not just racist, it's systemic racism, it's overt racism, it's covert racism, it's people that have power, it's people that have always dominated us, it's people that see us as less than humans, it's people who don't care about anyone that look like us, it's people, these are the same, you got to understand something. These are the same people who basically went around the world and just decimated people. These are the people who use genocide on people. These are the people who killed babies. These are the great grandchildren. The same mindset they have. These are the people who don't look at us as even human beings. So he's right. This system we live in, and we don't expect anything more of them. So this is what I'm saying. These people have some sick mentalities, and we have to stand up for truth. We have to stand up for justice, because they don't know what justice looks like. They never knew what justice looks like, and they don't care what justice looks like. All they care about is remaining in power, keeping us under their foot, keeping us with their hand on at our throat. And this is how sad it is. And these people are still the same way that their great, 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 great grandparents are and were.
Yeah, and the way they look at it, like we said from Glenn and a couple others, they're looking at it not fairly. They're looking at it. You took one of ours. I'm talking about our race. Now we got to stick it back to you. Even though our race started it, we don't care. We want to stick it back to you. Now I'm going to tie this in because I think it makes sense. There was a guy by the name P.2. Bother. He made a speech in 1985, and he was basically a South African American prime minister or leader. And it's basically called The Conspiracy to Destroy the African American Race. Now, there's a video I'm going to play. Now, here's a question that I'm wondering. I'm tying this into Karmelo. If they're sitting back making conspiracies to destroy the race, and I believe it's accurate, you can look this up on Google, you can look it up on YouTube, it's everywhere. If they're sitting back plotting on a black race like this, and this is in South Africa, can you imagine what the people in North America and all over, how they really feel about us when they're concocting these terrible ideas? Now, the brother is reading off of what you call a manifesto or a book where before he died, I guess he left this like in a journal or a log. And he's basically saying how the police and the system, how they're going to treat the black race. Let me go ahead and get this dialed up real quick.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct. It's all, see, the thing that I'm trying to get people to see, it's always been like that. The country was founded upon racism. The country was founded upon prejudice. The country was founded upon bigotry. See, and this is why I'm keep saying about our people. Our people, we have to be like those people in the days of old, like they have the mentality of Malcolm X, people that have the same mentality of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad. You know, we got to have those kind of mindsets because they understood what it would take. But most of us now, brother, I'm telling you now, as long as we have a pacifier in our mouths, we're okay. This doggone broadcast should have so many comments flooded about what's going on, but this is why we just want to be on a cell phone, live in a fantasy world, and nobody disrupts what we're doing. And then until it happens to us, then we want everybody to drop the cell phones and join us in our plight and our fight for freedom and all this. This is what's wrong with us today.
And once again, this is by the man named P.W. Bother. You can look it up. And from what I got on YouTube, this is a guy that's basically reading off this journal that this guy left around for Google and YouTube and for the whole world to see. This is how the system is treating blacks.
Hold up. So then that means that black crimes against whites, that means great punishment, right? Anytime criminal activity, anytime a murder, anytime any criminal activity is committed on the end of the black man or the black woman, and whites are victims of crimes committed by blacks, that means that there should be great punishment for that. But as long as we kill one another, we should bear very little punishment because black lives mean absolutely nothing.
Now, this is, like I said, you could actually go to P.W. Bother and look at that. Now, he was reading off of that book that he left, but that's absolutely true. And I'm tying that into Karmelo, like he mentioned, P.W. Bother, a sick dog. He said, basically, when blacks create a crime against the white or the Europeans, stick it to them. Throw the book at them. Give them so much punishment that they can't wrap their heads around. And that's the sad part because, once again, that's not only happening in just Texas or Nebraska. This is a worldwide. All these countries and states, for the most part, feel that way about us. And for the fact that P.W. Bother wrote that in a newspaper and left it around for the world to see with this terrible conspiracy, and I'm tying that into Karmelo, to me, it goes hand in hand, brother. I can't say anything more.
Yeah, you know, there was a guy that did a movie back in the 1900s when the film first came out. It's called The Birth of a Nation. That depicted us as animals. I mean, that just also set the stage in the media. You know, even in songs, they called us names. They made fun of us for blackface. Nothing has changed today, and for some reason, many of us think that things have changed. It has not changed, man. It's the same as it was back then. It's not worse. It's not better. It's the same. The hatred that they have toward us. Black life does not matter. I don't care what people say about
Mm,
Black Lives Matter. Black life does not matter, whether it be male, whether it be female, whether it be boy, whether it be girl, whether it be baby. It doesn't matter, man. And I'm telling you now, this is the dilemma that we find ourselves in. And one of the things that's going to have to help us is many of us going to have to get off out of our comfort zones, and we're going to have to do the right thing when it comes to saying what's fair. And even though we may lose friends, because a lot of us have European friends, and when the subject comes up, they don't want to say it. Some people don't want to comment. Everybody's hiding behind their cell phone unless we're kicking the ball, throwing the ball, catching the ball, got a microphone in our hand, and we're into that, and we're not knocking that. Because we're two of the biggest sports fans that you'll ever see. But at
right,
least there's balance, man. There's balance. That we're not just talking about sports until we die. We're not just
right.
talking about entertainment. See, this is the part that I'm saying that's problematic with me, with our people. It's not so much just what's going on with Kamrmelo. It's that many of us don't seem to care unless it happens to us, man. There should be a far more greater outcry than all of us. And those who are having the outcry, I applaud us. But a lot of us are just silent, man. We don't care about this until it happens to us or somebody that we know.
Brother Ray comes in here with a good comment. He says they claim their black envy is black fatigue to justify their hatefulness. And I am starting to see that black fatigue. I see that so much now on YouTube that it kind of makes me frustrated when I see it, because when I click the video, 9 times out of 10, it's people from all races are depicting us as like these thuggish prostitutes that are no good, that need to be thrown away, and are just nothing but want to collect welfare and stay on food stamps, don't want nothing. And that's what they're calling black fatigue, like this brother mentioned. But he's saying that they're justifying that because they have so much hate for us.
Yeah. He's
That's
right.
the sad part.
He's right. And my thing is, we should be the ones saying that we should be claiming white fatigue. We should be tired of all these years, 400 and counting, what these white people, many of them, most of them, have done to us, because they're a part of a system. They're all in cahoots. Some of them don't say anything. They want to call themselves a certain religious affiliation, or they want to be a certain political party. But the bottom line is, we should be tired of that, because we're the ones who are being treated this way. We've never done them the way they've done us. We don't think of them the way they think of us. We didn't set up the system to continue to brutalize them and to treat them the way they treat us. So we should be the one that's tired. We should be the ones that's talking about white fatigue. We should be tired of what they've done to us, what they continue to do to us, what they're doing to us as we speak. They're making laws. They owning the prison systems. They own all of the food. They own all the banks. So we should be the ones that should be talking about white fatigue. But again, unfortunately, many of us are as quiet as a church mouse.
They are. And like I told you, and you took a page out of my book a little bit earlier, like I said a while ago, we're only fired up and we're only angry when it happens to our household or our family member. When it's these brothers like Karmelo, when it's these sisters like Breonna Taylor, we don't seem to really have that much energy for that. I mean, we have it for a week, we have it for a day, and then once we forget about it, we just go into our normal jobs and carry it on. But like I said, my heart goes out to him. I mean, I see his mugshot all over the news, all over YouTube, and people are making a mockery out of this brother, saying this is what he gets. He is a no good criminal, and they're just happy that this happened to him. But I'm hoping, let me ask you this. With all this being said, with the video footage being clear as day, what do you see happening to this brother?
The only thing I could think of is when they get this new jury, that someone, because it only takes one, that someone would have the right mindset about what happened. That's what I'm hoping for. That's his only hope. Other than that, it's going to be the same outcome. So that's my hope, that when they select this jury, especially, first of all, if they accept this appeal, if they accept this appeal and then they start the process, that's what I'm hoping on. That's what I'm banking on, because I know that out of 12 people, at least one or two or three or four or five would think like you and I, as opposed to all 12 of them looking at this boy like he's a monster. That's what I'm trying to say, man. And I think it's just so unfair. And listen, let me say this too.
Okay.
I bet you if you ask most black households, and I gotta say this, I bet you many of them haven't even talked about this case. I promise
Mm.
you, many of them don't even talk about this Karmelo Anthony case. They're not going to talk about this little boy that was killed. Now, I know you say, well, it's not going to do anything about it, but you won't even talk about it. But you let Beyonce win a Grammy. You let Jay-Z get snubbed because he was supposed to get something. You let a sports team lose on a close one. This is what we're talking about. And so to me, our moral capabilities of even understanding how to view things is askew. And that's problematic because as a people, many of us, we're majoring on the minors, man. And Chaz, that's a sad thing that I just said, but it's true. We talk more about other activities that mean nothing, and yet we don't even have the decency to talk about this case in our own household, to teach our children about what to look out for and how people are. And, this is the sad part about this case.
It is sad now, and I'm not trying to make it about me, but I'm just saying in general, and you know this as well. My household, we've talked about this. You and I have talked about it every time we hear news on. When we hear about it on the news, we're talking about it. But let me ask you this: if you could put a percentage out of all the blacks in America, out of 100%, what percentage of the African American race do you think is talking about it? The percentage.
I would probably say 10 to 15.
Wow.
10 to 15, and that might be a generous number, because if you notice, wherever we go, you think about the conversation. You don't hear about this. Now you hear about it maybe on the news, or you hear about it when we do a broadcast, or maybe your friends may want to bring it up. But I'm talking about just every day. This is a major story. This is huge. See? And I think we go through this so much, it's to the point now where some of us say, well, okay, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor. We go on, Sterling. And so we're at the point now where it's like, okay, there's another case. And so we don't have the care. And to me, that's what is really sad about it. It's almost like someone has taken water and poured it over our fire that we have for one another to even speak up against this injustice that's going on.
Brother Ray comes in here with a good comment. He says, it's their envy of black people. They hate us and still want to be like us. And that is true to an extent. And I'm not Ray, but I'm just saying in general. I never understood, if you despise the person, you couldn't stand what they stand for, you just didn't like them for whatever reason. But yet they still trying to copy you. So what they call, is it a love-hate kind of thing? Not Ray. I'm just saying for people who do hate the African Americans, but it seems like they are copying our hairstyles. They're copying a lot of the things that we do. And for some reason, they're always copying us, but they always claim that they hate us. Now, I played this last week. I got to retouch this up again for if there are new people who haven't heard this yet. I played it last week, and I'll play it right here.
I'm walking back up. Right. On the video, you can see those 4 that was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others. They was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up. One toward this way to go to the coach, to distract them a little bit, and then the other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past. Right. The other 4 went and they surrounded Karmelo. And it showed it on that video. It's on the video. Okay, come on. You can see him walk. I'm gonna say this stuff. I'll put it this way.
Now, like I said, I played this last week, but I gotta keep playing this because this brother is not getting a fair shot. I have yet to see this on the news. CBS, PBS, Fox, MSNBC, all these big platforms, even on YouTube. I have to search and dig to hear a fair shot. Like I said, I played this last week, but this brother is saying, if you look at the video footage, he was jumped. And I'm getting frustrated because I thought by now I would have seen on CBS or Fox or somewhere where they show or even talked about this brother being jumped. This African-American brother, I forget his name, but the point is, he's saying, if you look at this footage, the brother is jumped. And I have to keep highlighting this because it's not being talked about on the national news as often.
And it won't be talked about on the national news. Look who owns the news outlets. Look who owns the radio, the media. Look who owns social media. Even though they give us a little part to play in it to make sure we post and all that, but look who owns all of this. See, we have to look at the system, man. The system itself is set up. And we always talk about the system or the man, but let's be honest about it. The system and the man and all these words we use, these are people, man. These are
Yeah.
not, this is not a theory. These are people that's behind the system, who
Right.
makes the system work, who owns these news outlets. They're going to make sure that they give us a dosage of Kamrmelo being looked at as if he's a thug or as a criminal. So, and even though some of them, they won't put it out like that, they try to put it out there to where it makes him appear that, well, from what I see, he probably did it. And that's why we got to have our own, not so much news media, but we got to have our own information where we share between each other and where we look between the lines and we begin to tell people these news outlets, I don't care what they show me. When I hear that this boy was under a tent and all these people came at him as a group, he defended himself. I don't care what the news media says. If
Right.
that's what happened, I believe he was defending himself and someone got killed in the process. And that's what we have to be, we have to stick to that.
Absolutely. Excuse me. This is another brother. His name is Samuel. It's about a 30-second clip. And here's his take as well. Once again, I love playing these because it gives people an idea of what the society thinks of us, what the media thinks of us, just in general, what people are saying. Because, like I said, me and you are talking about it, but I want to also give people a close up as to what other these guys and women are saying as well. Check this one out by a guy named Samuel.
System is going to put you on trial to be judged by 6 to 12 people. After watching the video of Austin Metcalf walking over to confront Karmelo Anthony, that's pretty much all I needed to see. Once Austin and his crew decided to take matters into their own hands, to make it their business to remove Karmelo Anthony from the tent, 100% proves Karmelo Anthony didn't have any intentions of hurting anyone.
That's well said by the brother Samuel. And like he said, they think that they own that. I mean, and I hear that, and we hear that, especially in the African American community. Some of the thugs and the gang members, they say, "This is my block," or "This is my hood. Don't you come over here with that color? Don't you come in here bumping that music, bruh? That is not your." And I'm talking to Metcalf and his people. That's not your tent. This is a free country that you can go to wherever and sit. But the fact that they got so much pride in trying to remove a brother from a tent, and the brother Samuel is basically saying that's all he needed to see, because they're painting Karmelo like he was looking for trouble. This brother Samuel said, he wasn't looking for trouble, but these 2 or 3 individuals were trying to provoke him, and this is what happens. This is sad. This is terrible, man.
Yeah, it really is. And, like you said on the screen, what are your thoughts about the Karmelo Anthony case? I know we have thoughts about the Karmelo Anthony case. We live in a time right now, Chaz, where many people just don't care about anything. And we really don't. And so we live every day, man, just going to work, trying to make a little extra chump change and trying to get around from point A to point B. But that whole aspect of social realization, it's not there, and something has happened to us down through the years, and I'd like to think that it's because we've gone through so much that the fire has kind of been put out, and so we just sit around and it doesn't bother us. It doesn't mean anything to us when a 1-year-old boy, and when we get the rest of that information, we're going to see when a 1-year-old boy is shot, he's killed. You mean to tell me we are not even thinking about that now? Something is wrong with a group of people who, we talk about the 60s all we want to in the 50s, but at least they stood for something, man. They did. We don't stand for anything anymore because all we want is a cell phone and a roof over our head and some food in our belly or a ball in our hand to do something with and a little money that they're paying us. This is where we've gotten to, and it's like I just don't. I'm really disappointed. I really am in us, not the few that's trying. Those who just won't say anything, and you know who you are. Those who won't open your mouth, but that you'll talk for an hour about a man putting a ball in a hoop, or a man hitting the ball over a fence, or a man catching the ball. See, this is what I'm trying to say, Chaz. There's no balance here, man.
It's not. And I understand your frustration. I understand your pain. This is all we can do is talk about these things. They have to be talked about because once again, now, I don't wish ill will on nobody. I really don't. But it'll be sad for, like I said, to happen to one of us. Then everybody wants to make phone calls. Then everybody want to run to the NAACP. Then everybody wants to make all these changes. But it's like, okay, you should do these things, but it shouldn't take for it to hit your household before you actually start caring. Now, we got about 6 minutes left. I got a couple more comments and
But let me say this before you get to the comments, because you mentioned something that I'm so forgetful, but you mentioned something that I wanted to piggyback off of. The
that?
NAACP, the Urban League, the black churches,
Yeah,
the black mosques, the black spiritual buildings. You see, Chaz, this is what I'm trying to say, man. This doesn't make any sense, man, because all these places that we're talking about now, these organizations, these institutions, many of them are just quiet. They're you know, this is something that's unfathomable. And I can't understand this. The Black Caucus. Where are these people now, man? They should be leading this thing.
I'll tell you, and it's everything is not a conspiracy, but I've done a research to know. Like I told you about PW, bother having that conspiracy against blacks. This is what's going on, like you said, in the churches, the spiritual teachers. If you are under a church that's under 501c3, I guarantee you 99% of them are not going to talk about it because the 501c3 churches are basically in cahoots and they're basically saying, this is the curriculum. These are the topics. You can't talk about worldly issues or certain topics because it's not allowed. And if we find out, let's say, for example, you are talking about these topics and someone from your congregation gives a phone call, we'll come and shut that church down. That's why the churches in them aren't talking about it, to answer your question. And that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah. And I can't do this and I can't get in my feelings, but I sometimes feel like a monk. I feel like I want to go shave my head and go to a mountain. No, I'm serious. Find me a cave. No, and go in that cave and just chant and eat strawberries and eat wild fruit and don't come out. And I don't want to see y'all face, Chaz. I don't want to see any of y'all for at least 50 years. And I want to just die inside that cave. I'm tired, man. But I mean, I'm not gonna do it because I know my emotions and I understand I'm just talking now, but I feel like I want to be a monk. I want to get away from y'all, man, because I'm living in a world that's basically deranged, man. And I don't want to be around these kinds of people because as a group of people, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves, man. We really should be, Chaz.
We should. And like you said, I understand your frustration where you said you want to hide. You know, this society will get to you like that. There are a lot of days where we can all sit up here and act like we always feel good. We always have this high energy. But there are days where they may not admit it, but they feel like it's up, brother, where they want to get away from society. Turn off the phones. Just go home, like you said, eat a couple of meals and just not be bothered because this world will drive you insane if you let it. Now, like I mentioned, we got a couple more minutes. I'm going to read one tweet again that I read earlier and one more video. But this is disgusting. This is again from Matt Walsh. He puts the verdict guilty. Justice was done. The only shame is that his crappy parents can't be jailed along with him. But at least this murder thug will be off the streets. And then his second tweet or whatever says that if you followed this trial and came away convinced that Karmelo is not guilty, you're either so retarded that you should be institutionalized, or you're just happy that a white guy was killed and you don't care about the facts. And then I couldn't finish the rest of it, but you get the gist of it here.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Chaz, what he just said. Where is that same energy when these white boys and these white girls, they go into these schools and they shoot up all these kids? Okay, where is that energy there about talking about their crappy parents? See, where is that fire when these kids go into these schools and kill these innocent kids and then they turn the gun on themselves? They don't talk like that. See, they don't talk about their parents. They don't call their parents crappy. They don't talk. See, this is what I'm trying to show you, man. This is ridiculous, man. It's absurd.
They don't. Like, there was an incident that just happened in California. I believe a guy, he was either a librarian or he went to a library, shot up some people. Like you said, his energy wasn't high like that then. He's quiet as a church mouse. Now, I'm pretty sure all the Sandy Hook, all that other stuff, he's not acting like that then. But him, Glenn, Megan, they all got this just hateful mindset when it's a black person. Now, this is the last video I'm going to play, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up. Check this out from her again.
The evidence that the jury saw is now finally being released. Not all of it, but a lot of it, before they sentenced him to 35 years in prison for killing Austin Metcalf. And like the bottom line is all the stuff that these agitators who refuse to accept that this guy committed murder is proof positive. I mean, it's just beyond any doubt, never mind a reasonable doubt, what happened here. And
yeah, and that's her take. And like she said, you kind of almost know what she's going to say before she says it, but I have to play these things because these people have millions and millions of followers. And it's sad that some of their followers can't think for themselves. I have yet to see any of her followers challenge her in the comment section and say, Megan, you're wrong. You know, this occurred. They all are just clapping and agreeing with Glenn and Megan and the other guy, Matt, and plenty of others that I can't play on here. But it's sad that yet the video footage just came out and this woman is still saying that this guy is a murderer. Brother, I appreciate you, but please don't go and hide in that cave, bro. We need you, bro. We need you. Don't go and cut your hair and not see for 4 or 5 weeks and not answer your phone, not answer your email, bro. We need some real people out here, man.
Yeah, because the vitriol that she's spitting, you know, that keeps me going because I have to fight. I have to fight what they call injustice. I have to fight that. I have to fight falsehood. And I know if I go away, then it's going to just kind of show its ugly face and nobody's going to fight against it. But I just, for some reason, man, I just think that right now, as a people, we're at a low point in our lives. We really are. And we got so much going on personally within our household, our families, that it has sucked everything out of us. And it's like all we get excited for is something that has to do with a game or something that has to do with a microphone, something that has to do with a ball or something that has to do with a comedy. You know, somebody's laughing. It's something that has to do with a movie. It's something that has to do with a play. Something that has, I don't know, man, but it's like, this is what's going to continue to happen until we start at least beginning to own up to it and start being like the people in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and 60s, and 70s. You know, and there was a young lady who talked about the hangings, how they would hang brothers all the time. You know, Ida B. Wells, she wrote about that. They told her, you don't say that. She would always write about the lynchings, and she had to leave because even though they threatened her, she kept talking about it. But a lot of us aren't even being threatened, Chaz, and we won't even talk about it. We won't take it to church. We won't tell the pastor. We won't tell the imam. We won't tell the spiritual guru. But this is crazy, man.
Well, but like I told you earlier, brother, you asked me and I gave you an honest answer. You asked why aren't the churches and them, the spiritual gurus, why aren't they talking about it once again? And I'm willing to bet you can fact check me, anybody. If you go to a service or a church and you find out they're under 501c3, I'm willing to guarantee you 99% of them are not going to be talking about these serious issues like Karmelo and Brianna and all these things, because they're not allowed to, because they're under 501c3 for number one, and for number two, their curriculum is basically given to them, and if they get out of line and a person from the congregation calls this, hey, this brother was talking about Karmelo, what have you, stirred up drama, they're going to come and shut your services down. And a lot of people, like we mentioned earlier on previous broadcasts, when their livelihood, their income, or their life is at stake, people are going to go away and hide. They don't want that. But like you mentioned earlier, X, King, a lot of these other guys that I can't really remember off the top, they didn't care about losing this stuff. But that's the problem with society. Like you mentioned, give us some money, give us a job, give us a car, and we're satisfied. Next week, we haven't thought about the topic yet. Have you thought about what we should be doing?
No, but we're going to stay on. We're not going to do this next week, but what we're going to do is whenever they find, if they get an appeal and it goes through, we'll always keep people up to date, because we've been doing this ever since we broke the story almost a year ago when it first happened. So we're just following up. So we'll just kind of chill until we find out what the verdict, or if they even accept the appeal. So we'll keep people abreast, because like you mentioned, the news media is not going to say it. So we got to be the news media. Unfortunately, not too many people want to see us, but we got to be the news media and the outlets to kind of let people know. Again, this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern. So we want you to tune in because we'll have another subject, and we just want you all to know, hey, we've always been under attack. So let's not act like we act like everything is good in our society, and it's not good. So we got to let people know that, hey, there's so much going on, and we have to be able to be the ones who are blowing the trumpet, who are shouting from the mountaintop. If no one else does, we have to do it so we can combat all of the vitriol that we heard, the people that you played, many of them, how they see us. We have to be the ones who have to push back on that, because if we don't, that's going to make us all continue to seem like we're like little wusses or little just measly mice. And we're not like that, because you let somebody mess with our money, mess with our food, mess with something, we're going to go crazy. But a boy that's being railroaded, we can't say 5 minutes worth of how that's not fair when he stood his own ground. If Kamrmelo just went in the tent and stabbed the boy, just stabbed him for no reason, then we should be able to say Kamrmelo was wrong. See, we should
Yeah,
be able to have the right standards. But see,
yeah,
people don't have that, man. And a lot of us are scared, Chaz. We
yeah.
scared, like you said, we scared to lose our jobs. We scared to talk about it. All we want to do is talk about joking stuff. Then we want to get serious every now and then. They want to tell a joke. This stuff is nonsensical. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you close us out. But I just hope everybody understand that this is a serious matter, and we should take it a little bit more serious than we are.
We should take it serious. And like I said, my heart goes out to the brother, Karmelo's family, his family, his parents. This is a grieving time. We're hoping that they win this case, but it's just sad where they're going to have to see their son go up the river for 35 years, knowing that he just stood his ground. But once again, we appreciate everybody who tuned in. This is something serious, and please have these discussions with your relatives or your wife or whoever, because these things have to be talked about, and we have to keep talking about them here.
And
Because
Chaz, let me cut you off, because you can end us out. But let's just say, for example, which it won't happen, at least not right now. But let's say in 2 or 3 months from now they appeal the case and Kamrmelo wins. So when we do another broadcast, we're not going to be on here giving each other high five because he won. We're just going to be saying that justice was served, because a lot
right,
of us will look at it and say, "Oh yeah, he did that," as if that's something to brag about. See, this is
right,
how messed up with the point, to let people know, hey, that was something that he defended himself on. We're sorry someone had to lose their life instead. So we're not going to be on these broadcasts giving each other half. Oh yeah, he did that. Oh yeah, that's what he gets. See, this is the mindset that most of us have, and we
yeah.
can't even. We can't. We're not even fair amongst ourselves. So again, we
And,
always say the same thing over and over again. But I'll let you close us out. I'm
oh,
done, man. You can close us out.
okay, and I was just going to say real quick before we close out, and I know they'll never see this because these people got so much money, they'll probably never see this video. But hypothetically, if Glenn or Megan or anybody were to have a sit down with us, we wouldn't throw chairs at them. We wouldn't fight them. We're not these just crazy, evil people. We will sit down and ask them, man, where are you getting this information from? Megan, why are you thinking like this? And we will want to hear them, because we're not going to start fights. But I know they'll never see this. We're just saying hypothetically here. We want to challenge them politely and in love to see if we can persuade them, or are they so far gone they probably would think we crazy, man.
I'll bring the same energy they bring. I'm gonna bring when she starts getting loud about what she's thinking. I'm just gonna come back and let her know, no, that's not true. See, because
Yeah,
you're not talking to a little boy, you're talking to a grown man who knew as far as what that boy had to go through. So I'm not gonna sit there and just let you do it. And, well, it could have been. No, you're not telling the truth, and somebody's
right.
gonna have to stand up to him. If not, man, we're just gonna continue to be railroaded until we leave this earth.
Yeah. Well, like I said, brother, I appreciate you for having me on. Next week we'll have a good topic. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. Listen to this good outro music, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.